The movie kicks off in an interrogation room, where a man is bruised and bloodied carrying a stray cat feeding it tuna, not before lighting a cigarette. The detectives then ask the man who is he. He replies nobody. The scene then shifts a few days earlier, where Hutch is shown living his routine lifestyle. He starts with morning exercise, have a cup of coffee, repeatedly misses the garbage truck, and goes to his monotonous, dead-end job, appearing almost invisible to everyone. Hutch has 2 kids, Abby and Blake, who don't respect him, and a wife, Becca, who works as a real estate agent. However, the couple seems distant from each other. Hutch is visibly bored and dissatisfied with his mundane life. One night, Hutch wakes to a noise and checks on his sleeping kids before heading downstairs. He finds a group of robbers in the house and arms himself with a club. As he tries to call the police, he is held at gunpoint by one of the robbers. The thieves demand for cash, and Hutch directs them to a bowl in the kitchen. After taking the money, one robber demands Hutch's watch. As the robber tries to snatch it, Hutch notices a tattoo on the thief's wrist. All of a sudden, Blake surprises one of the robbers by tackling and locking him down. The other robber, armed with a gun, threatens Blake. Hutch approaches with a golf club but hesitates and stops himself from attacking. Instead, he calmly instructs Blake to release the robber. Blake complies but gets punched by the robber as they flee the scene. After closing the door, Hutch tries to get his son up, who is disappointed and views his father as a coward. When the police arrive, they discover the robbers used a pizza box to keep the garage door from closing completely. During questioning, Hutch's son, Blake, blames his father for not taking action. One policeman commends Hutch for doing the right thing by not escalating the situation, but another policeman criticizes his decision, highlighting the mixed reactions to Hutch's passive response to the robbery. Unable to sleep, Hutch spends the night on the couch accompanied by his daughter Sammy. She reassures him that she's not scared because he's there to protect her. The next morning, Blake needs help with a history assignment. Hutch tries to assist, but Becca suggests asking his uncle Charlie, a military soldier. Outside, Hutch's neighbor jokes about wishing his house had been targeted by the recent burglars for some excitement. Everyone around Hutch acts strong and cool, highlighting his perceived weakness. At the office, Charlie, Hutch's brother-in-law, approaches Hutch with a gun, urging him to take it for his family's safety. Despite Hutch's initial refusal, Charlie insists that nothing ends a person's faster than a bullet in the brain. Reluctantly, Hutch accepts the gun and later stashes it in the fridge. Next, Hutch's father-in-law, Eddie, comments that Hutch did the right thing by just being himself. Eddie then mentions an offer to sell their place but notes that the money offered is insufficient. Later, Hutch talks to his brother, Harry, over the radio while undercover. Hutch explains that why he didn't take a shot at the robbers from the previous night because they were scared, desperate, and their gun was empty. Harry understands Hutch's decision and advises him not to do anything reckless. Next, Hutch then visits his father, David. During this visit, Hutch prepares a meal for him. David remarks that Hutch doesn't look well, and asking, does he remember who he used to be? Hinting at Hutch's feelings of lost identity and purpose. After arriving home, Abby tells her father that she can't find her kitty cat bracelet. She last saw it in a bowl with some money. Abby is worried that the robbers might have taken it along with the cash. Hutch, filled with anger, returns to his father's house. He retrieves a gun from a box and also takes his father's old FBI badge. David catches him in the act, and Hutch tells him that he needs to handle something. Hutch recalls a tattoo he saw on one of the robbers' wrists. He visits several tattoo shops, insisting on finding that specific tattoo design. At one shop, an old man, noticing Hutch's expired FBI badge, tries to intimidate him. Hutch responds by flashing money and asking for information. When the old man sees Hutch's own tattoo, he thanks him for his service and nervously locks himself in a room. This reaction convinces Hutch's adversaries that they shouldn't mess with him. Hutch then demands the location of people with the same tattoo after spotting it in the shop's display. After Hutch locates the robbers, he breaks into their house. He confronts the man by hitting him with a gun and then takes the woman's watch while demanding a kitty cat bracelet. The couple, not knowing where the bracelet is, refuses to give it up. Enraged, Hutch throws the man down and threatens him. As he's about to escalate the situation, Hutch hears a baby crying. He discovers the baby on oxygen support, feels sympathy, and decides to leave the house without further violence. Hutch is outside feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. He punches a wall in anger. Afterward, he boards a bus, but a speeding SUV crashes nearby, blocking the road. 5 drunk men then approach the bus, and Hutch, seething with rage, reflects on the saying, when God closes one door, he opens another. As the bus driver opens the door, the drunk men start causing trouble and harassing a woman on the bus. Hutch gets up from his seat and approaches the bus driver. He takes the bus key and locks the driver out. Hutch empties his gun in front of them and warns he'll teach them a lesson. The thugs laugh at the threat from an old man. As the fight begins, Hutch takes a few punches but tries to fight back. When one thug attacks him with a bottle, Hutch turns it against him. Unable to overpower Hutch, another thug pulls out a knife. Hutch manages to subdue 2 of the attackers, but the third thug breaks free and kicks him, ending the headlock. During the fight, Hutch realizes his punches aren't working, so he starts using his watch to deliver stronger blows. Despite this, he gets stabbed by one of the attackers. He pulls out the knife and uses it against his enemies, even impaling one through the leg. After being thrown off the bus, Hutch re-enters, telling a girl to run. He then takes down the attackers one by one. When the last attacker grabs Hutch's gun, Hutch breaks a pipe to disarm him and gets several shots off. Unfortunately, one of his shot lands on his throat. Struggling to breathe, Hutch uses a straw from the girl's smoothie and a knife to make an incision in his throat, inserting the straw to help him breathe. Hutch then steps off the bus. He apologizes to the driver and offers her some money before leaving. Once home, he finds his wife, Becca, drinking a beer. She's startled to see him covered in blood. Hutch downplays the situation, saying he had a rough day. As Becca tends to his wounds, it's revealed that she knows about Hutch's past as an undercover military operative skilled in making people disappear without a trace. Simultaneously, a Russian mafia boss named Yulian arrives at a club. He dances with the singer and then mingles with his guests. After receiving praise for his security measures, one guest criticizes Julian's behavior as childish and inappropriate for someone in his position. Infuriated, Julian smashes a glass and uses it to kill the man's bodyguards. This act restores his guests' trust, and they begin to enjoy themselves again. Later, Julian gets a call and learns that his brother has been hospitalized, who is in a coma with severe head injuries, and his recovery is uncertain. Julian, in rage, interrogates his brother's friend to find out who is responsible. He receives a Metro card dropped by Hutch during their fight, which might lead him to Hutch. In the morning, Hutch receives a call from Harry, who tells him that the injured boy from last night is the brother of a powerful Russian mafia leader named Julian. Harry warns Hutch to be cautious and suggests visiting the barber for more information about Julian. Hutch remains untroubled, brushing off the incident as an accident. Later, Hutch goes to the barber for information. Meanwhile, Julian hires a hacker to find details about Hutch. The hacker uncovers compromising photos of a Pentagon official, which she uses to blackmail the man into revealing Hutch's information. Shocked and frightened by what she learns, the hacker quickly quits her job and leaves in a hurry, even refusing her payment. Hutch then prepares a nice meal and offering his wife, Becca, some fine wine. During dinner, he proposes a trip to Italy, a place they've always talked about visiting. Becca questions whether they can afford it, but Hutch suggests that they can't afford not to go. As the family enjoys their meal, Hutch notices vehicles approaching their house. Realizing they are coming for him, Hutch quickly moves his family to a secret room in the house. He kisses Becca, locks them in for safety, and requests that they not call 911. Tense unfolds when a dozen heavily armed men invade Hutch's house with the intent to kill him. Hutch takes action, fighting off some of the attackers, ruthlessly eliminating every one of his assailant, but is eventually tossed and knocked out. When he regains consciousness, he's handcuffed in the trunk of a car. Using his skills, Hutch dislocates his thumb to free himself, then grabs a fire extinguisher. He uses it inside the car, resulting the driver to lose control, which immediately leads to a crash. Hutch survives the crash, killing 2 of the 3 mafia members. The surviving mafia member questions Hutch's identity, prompting Hutch to reveal he was an auditor for a 3-letter agency, a figure feared by organization because they were tasked with eliminating threats, not just arresting them. Hutch finishes his story as the remaining mafia member dies. Hutch races towards home after calling his father about the escalating situation. When he arrives, he finds his family in shock, surrounded by blood and dead bodies. Hutch quickly gets them into the car, urging his wife to trust him and look after the kids, while he prepares for the worst. Realizing that Julian won't stop until one of them is dead, Hutch collects the bodies along with a barely alive man. He starts telling a story about a man named Alan, whom he was initially tasked with killing. Hutch listens to Alan's story, decides to spare him, and reflects on Alan's new life, feeling envious. Hutch tells his boss he's retiring, but actually, he misses his old life and plans to use the situation to get some action. After the last man dies, Hutch narrates his plan to burn the bodies at 1,500 degrees Celsius, reducing them to ashes, and sets the house on fire, leaving no trace behind. Meanwhile, at nursing home, Julius has sent 2 of his men to kill Hutch's father. The old man, pretending to be asleep, manages to handle the situation by grabbing a gun, jamming the safety, and then using a shotgun to kill both attackers. Next, Hutch dumps a bag of gold bars to force his father-in-law to sell the place. Charlie, opposing the deal, gets punched in return. Meanwhile, Eddie agrees to the deal. The next morning, Hutch has locked the factory entrances, claiming electrical issues, but he's actually preparing for a battle by setting up deadly and dangerous booby traps. searching for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐵𝐵, the place where Yulian puts his black money. After finding it, Hutch springs into action, first eliminates the guards and then killing all the henchmen. After which he gets his hands on Yulian's belongings, starts burning, including millions of dollars and expensive paintings. Next, Hutch visits Yulian's club to have a private talk with Yulian. To ensure his safety, Hutch has a C4 explosive connected to his finger, forcing Yulian to send away his henchmen. After which Hutch reveals he has destroyed the 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐵, which makes Yulian very angry. However, Hutch then gives Yulian two choices: go to war or leave Hutch and his family alone and start a new life with the money he has left. After which, without any intervention, Hutch leaves the club and waits in his car, hoping Yulian will make a peaceful decision. However, Yulian rushes out of the club in rage and orders his men to catch Hutch. Seeing this, Hutch hits the gas and the chase begins. During the pursuit, Hutch manages to killing some of the assailants while doing some spectacular moves. Yulian, relentless to kill Hutch, continues his pursuit. As Hutch arrives at the factory, a firefight erupts, and he gets hit by a bullet. Just then, Hutch's brother, Harry, makes a dramatic entrance, killing several assailants with a sniper rifle. Additionally, Hutch's father, David, also arrives, providing cover fire, allowing Hutch to enter the factory, followed by Yulian and his henchmen, unaware that Hutch has turned the factory into a death trap. Inside, Hutch and his father take down more enemies, while the traps and explosions eliminate the others. Meanwhile, Harry uses his sniper rifle to take down some assailants, assisting in the battle. Hutch takes down most of the attackers alone, fiercely using metal rods to impale enemies, while his father David helps finish off the remaining attackers. Hutch, David, and Harry facing off against a group of assailants. All the attackers are taken down except for Yulian, who manages to shoot Harry. As Hutch and his father run out of bullets, and Yulian thinks he has them cornered. However, Hutch have one more trick under his sleeves. He sticks some explosives on a bulletproof shield and charges towards Yulian. The bomb explodes, killing Yulian and leaving his lifeless body behind, while the shield protects Hutch. After the battle, Harry and his father leaves. Hutch fulfills his promise to his daughter by finding a cat for her. 3 months later, Hutch and his wife Becca are looking to buy a new house. During the visit, the real estate agent gets a call meant for Hutch. After the call ends, Hutch asks the agent if the house has a basement, hinting at his return to the life he left behind. The end. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video.